Welcome, welcome, welcome. I had a dream that was like so vivid and so real. Like I thought like this is it now. Like I was mistaking it for reality when I was like in the dream. You ever have one of those? So, in the interest of transparency, the first thing that I did when I woke up is like having freshly lived this hell. Talked to the AI guy about it, and I was like, developed a story based on this dream, and through a lot of poking and prodding and prompting, the story I'm about to tell you is the dream I had, and it is wild. It wasn't a normal dream. It wasn't about like monsters in the dark. It was like accurate, like a crystal clear, like vision of the future. Like I knew it. A future that didn't even feel like unrealistic. That's why it was so believable. It felt like I remembered something that hadn't happened, but it was like, but it had, I don't know, you know what I mean? We spend a lot of time talking about like the apocalypse gonna be this loud, fiery thing, chrome and neon, flying cars, nuclear ashes. But the world's at the end of the world, we're gonna push forward and everybody's still gonna be able to like communicate electronically. The solar thingies will still work. All the gadgetry is gonna like be fine as long as we protect it. In this dream, it dragged us backwards. It took us back to the dirt. In this dream, my name was Lou, and this is what happened.
The Livingston Man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land. The Livingston Man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston Man, the savior of the land.
This SHTF scenario in the dream wasn't particularly explained. It was one of these, it just happened. That was the reality now. There's no bombs. If there was, I would have known who, like, you know, I was supposed to fight, or we could, you know, send them back or whatever, but there was none of this going on. Silence. The grids had failed. The shipping lanes had stopped. We didn't know, nobody knew what happened. It wasn't a cyber attack, no solar flares. Was it the weight of our own greed snapping the axles of the machine? It didn't matter. I watched the grocery store shelves go from stocked to empty, 48 hours. The cities, those glittering concrete cathedrals of LED light, just choked on their own complexity. People were hungry. I remember the smell of it, too. The smell of millions of people suddenly realizing all the money, the degrees, the followers on Instagram, none of that was edible. I was fighting over canned peaches and the glow of the embers still burning of the society that used to be. I was eating out of dumpsters as my smartphone's battery slowly ticked down. Bar by bar, everyone's did. Eventually, we'd all have this useless glass brick in our pocket that we hope one day some savior would power up for us again. And then it came. the broadcast. Every screen that still had power, every billboard in Times Square, every tablet, every dying phone clicked over to a single high-definition feed. Him. I knew him. I knew him even in a dream. I was like, that is the Livingston man. He doesn't look like a warlord. He sits in a leather chair and an arm with a room full of immaculate guitars. The light hitting his face is warm like a fireplace. He's untouched by the rot outside. He doesn't yell. He didn't threaten us. He spoke to us with a quiet, crushing authority like a disappointed father. He called what was happening the Great Fast. He said it was a necessary purge of a diseased, digitized society. We had forgotten the soil, he said. We had worshipped the cloud, he said. And now that cloud had evaporated. He told us he was opening the massive gates of his estate. Return to the soil, he promised. You will never hunger again. So I walked. Thousands of us walked. Miserable trail. Starving ghosts pouring out of the city. Walking up the Palisades, walking up Route 9. Bleeding feet on the asphalt. Trading the ruined skyline for the rolling emerald hills of upstate New York. It took days. Days. I saw people die on the shoulder of the highway. Kept walking. I could hear his voice in my head. Eventually we saw it. A marker stone with an L carved in it. And beyond that, a giant glittering house on a beautifully shaped estate. The glittering wall around it, big iron gates. Perfect. Like a jewel, like a snapshot of what used to be. Walked up to the gates. They welcomed me in. They handed me a wooden bowl with warm, thick stew. I remember the taste of it. It was salvation in a bowl. We were saved. This was real. As I ate, the heavy iron gates groaned and slammed shut behind me. Locks engaged like a gunshot. That was the first time I saw these guys. Their uniforms said LMPD on them. The man himself's Praetorian Guard. They didn't even look like police. They looked like reapers or something from the century we just left behind. They stepped out from the shadows of the trees. They came out of everywhere all of a sudden. Matte black, tactical armor, faces hidden, mirrored visors, unreadable, inscrutable, inhuman. Of course, they had the big gun strapped across their chest. They moved. They didn't even make noise when they moved. While we stood there in rags covered in highway dust. They were pristine. They were awe-inspiring. They moved through the crowd. They took my dead phone, my watch, my wallet. Scrapped, a voice said from a loudspeaker, for the new world. Okay. You don't resist in these moments, so I didn't. And as if like time shifted in the dream, as if like, time had shifted forward. I felt as I had been there for a long time now. And it was this concept of year zero. Of course, I was no longer a YouTube person or guitar player, a farmhand. I was none of that. I know, just a worker designation. I was just hands in the dirt. shovel, hoe, plow. Farming the sprawling acres of the manor using the tools of the 18th century. Sun is bright. Blisters on my hands turn into calluses eventually. You get used to it. All day. Every day. His voice drifted over the fields from hidden rock speakers. You know those little things they hide in the gardens in their speakers? They're everywhere. It's a hypnotic lullaby just about the purity of my sweat, the glory of the harvest, the sacrifice of the blood. Said intellect was a sickness, that ambition was a crime against the earth itself. Always, somewhere right there, the LMPD was there. They had a monopoly on surveillance, and I'm pretty sure violence. While I lived in the Iron Age, the warden of this place was armed with the 22nd century. These guys, they ride up and down the roads in silent, like electric vehicles and spaceship cars. You barely hear them until they're right behind you. You got drones that can see you in the dark based on your heat signature. You hear them, you always hear them buzzing. It's just a constant nuisance, just the buzzing of drones. And what I came to realize is the genius of this Livingston man is not in his guns. It was how rarely he ever even had to use them. The LMPD didn't whip people. The shadow of them alone behind you as you were on your hands and knees tilling was enough to force compliance in virtually all cases. Their methods were different. Somebody stopped working. Older gentleman collapsed from the heat. The LMPD don't step in. No. They just point a green laser at that person's chest. Tiny little green dot on the chest. The rest of us, though, terrified from if you don't correct this person's behavior, we'll lose our rations. We'll have to work harder. Get turned into stragglers ourselves. There was this chick who I guess used to be like the VP of marketing or something in Manhattan or whatever, upstanding person, who knows. Young boy beside her paused to drink water for too long. A green dot appeared on his back. She didn't even hesitate. Blasted him with the shovel. Till he stopped moving. And the green dots go away. And she stopped. Did that for extra rations. She did that because she had found the religion of the soil. She was the peasant vanguard. We were policing ourselves. It wasn't just like beatings and, violence like this. This part's disturbing to talk about. This was the part that made me remember the dream. There was a word that they used in the barracks when somebody went missing in the middle of the night. A whisper in the dark. Ohio. You couldn't swing the shovel anymore. You spoke back to the LMPD. Wasn't no bullet. You said you were transferred to like new agricultural, farm, whatever. You got sent out. You're going to round them up, put the worst of the worst in one place. But you were sent to Ohio. One night, my work detail was assigned to the root cellars, and I seen the barrels. I saw the LMPD and the massive pallets of rock salt. I saw the blood draining out the back of the cellar doors. I knew what they were doing. Ohio wasn't a place. It was a recipe. That thick stew that they fed me when I first got there, that meat that kept us swinging the shovels and plows through the harvest, that wasn't cattle. I realized now I never saw a cow in my dream once. We were the livestock. The dissidents, they were the harvest. They got packed in salt to feed the faithful. I'm now in the part of the dream where you're starting to think you're dreaming and you're starting to get the panic, starting to get that thing sitting on your chest. You're trying desperately to wake up, but you can't, and you're starting to become convinced that this is in fact real. I thought I had the ghost of the old world stuck in my head. I thought I could beat this system. I started tracking the drones. I started to understand like what the patterns that they had made. I found blind spots in their sweeps. I started talking to the other workers. Started telling them. I managed to find like 50 of them who thought maybe they still remembered what it was like. And they believed me when I told them what Ohio was. We got all these scraps of iron from like busted lawnmower blades and just armed ourselves with these, implements of destruction. We marched up. We got the forks in the pit. We got it all. The torches, the whole. It's that. You know what I'm saying? It's that scene. Rawr, we're coming up the hill and we're gonna get them. Get to the door. Press up against it, big press of us. Roar, it's just barbarians at the gates moment is happening. I pull back on this like hammer I got. I'm gonna smash the door. It just opens. Shh. He stepped out. The Livingston man himself. This inscrutable individual who no one had ever seen but from a very long distance. Maybe you thought you saw him standing on his patio looking out over his holdings, but there he was. He was right there. He didn't have a gun. He was smiling. Tailored suit. And then right behind him, the LMPD. Like all of them. All of them. Like then now this is a Matrix Mexican standoff. We got shovels and rakes and plows and hedge trimmers. These guys are armed to the teeth with 22nd century shit. Standing there. The silence is deafening. Livingston man holds up his hand and just closes his fist. And all the LMPD vanished. He walks right up to me. To cultivate a perfect garden, you must let the weeds reveal themselves. He hadn't brought us there to save us. He had brought us there to bury the 21st century. He looked right into my eyes. He told me to drop my weapon, and he told me to look behind me. I turned, and you know what I saw? Remember the VP marketing from Brooklyn or wherever she was from? She smacked the kid around earlier. Her and all the rest of them coming up the hill with the torches and pitchforks. They weren't there for him. They were there for us. He didn't have to give them the order. They knew what to do. Weed the garden. They smashed into us like some 300 Spartans at Thermopylae. This wasn't a battle. This was stupid. Primitive sacrifice performed as worship for an audience of one. The Livingston man and his Praetorians just stood there as we just beat each other senseless and tore each other to pieces in the mud. And I didn't die. And I didn't get sent to Ohio. Death is an escape, and the Livingston man does not allow his property to escape. He dragged me down into the root cellars underneath his manor house, past the barrels of salt, into the damp, freezing corridors. I was in a pitch black for months. Fed like meat scraps in the dark, and I knew what that was. No lights, no sound, just the dripping of the water, the crushing weight of my own failure to keep me company. I stayed there so long, I forgot cities, I forgot technology, I forgot who I used to be. You know, like burned out of my brain like I was getting over a fever. Livingston Man visited me once. I remember hearing that door open. I remember the light coming through. And I got to imagine the look I must have had on my face, having not just this utterly broken individual. He walked up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder. He pulled a perfect Hudson Valley like red apple out of his pocket and he gave it to me. He said, "I forgive you." I felt like I woke up. It's one of those, wow, you know, and I'm awake. Sun's rising, beautiful blue sky. It's, in the Hudson Valley. And then I found myself there, back in the mud, swinging a shovel. This time I'm happy about it. I'm glad to be there. It's comfort. It's home. I'm a perfect, mindless cog in the machine. I wipe the sweat from my brow with filthy hands, look up at the hill. The drones are circling in the sky. The Praetorians are standing there like gargoyles, just where they should be. On the balcony of the manor house, there he is. The man himself, with his coffee cup. I look up at him. I don't even feel anger. I didn't feel the phantom weight of the society I felt I lost. I don't even remember the root cellar. I don't care about the barrels of salt. And it's like tears welt up in my eyes, warm, genuine tears of absolute gratitude. I see that man on the balcony, the architect of my starvation. He is now the orchestrator of my salvation. I smile. Struggle's finished. I had won the victory over myself. I love the Livingston Man. That was a dream. And I wonder where we would all stand in a scenario like that. If it's sort of a, you know, I mean, it's maybe clear that it's sort of culty, but what if you were desperate? What if, you know, it was gradually revealed that what the illusion was, rather than like you kind of walked into it knowing. And a lot of people think they'd be the rebels. Of course we would. Of course we'd be the rebels. We're going to storm up on that place. The heck with all this. No kings, bro. But I actually think that too many people would be the marketing executive. Does what they got to do to get by. Takes the Kool-Aid, swallows the hype, believes it. I think that's the reality. And then, of course, only one of us gets to be the Livingston Man, and you know who that is. Thanks for watching.